Hi, this is Cindy Kendall, and we are going to be talking about various reconciliations that you can do throughout the year. We suggest that you do this on a monthly basis. The first thing that you see on the screen right now is a spreadsheet that can be created in Excel to combine various accounts and reconciliations that you need to do for the council. So first of all, let's look at the very tops. This shows that we have 3 different bank accounts. It shows the beginning of each month. In this case, as you can see from down on the bottom, June is where we're going to start, or shall I say that's where the fiscal year ends, so that is going to flow to be your July 1 beginning cash balance. So this would be a June 1 balance for the beginning balance. We want to just show summary on this because this is just a worksheet for reconciliation. So the total amount of deposits that you show on your accounts for this particular bank. What checks did you write off of that account? Then this should be the treasurer's ending cash balance. But you see, you also have to have a space for any outstanding checks that you might have on that account, because to take the treasurer's balance plus the outstanding checks, you will then find the ending balance that should match the bank. And in this case, I'm keying in the bank balance here so that you can see that the clerk's balance or the treasurer's balance plus the outstanding equals the bank, and there is no variance there at all. We're recommending that you do that for each bank account. That way you have small pieces. So how do you eat a huge pizza, one bite at a piece? How do you reconcile all your different accounts? One account at a time. Some cities have various accounts for their credit card payments for a utility or something like that. Just doing those things one at a time will help you get through this methodically. You should also have the investments as a separate calculation for balancing. So here you would write down who owns that CD in this case, or this is a equipment reserve that's been set up in the road use tax fund. Those are separate accounts in your general ledger so that you know what the beginning balance is, if you've made any additions, if you've cashed any of those CDs or savings accounts, and what the ending balance is going to be for June 30. So then you can see here that this is also what the bank reflects, so you know there is no variance there at all. One other reconciliation that we find many communities are having problems getting their hands around is the utility deposit reconciliation. Now again, it doesn't matter if your general fund, your road use tax, your water and your sewer funds are all commingled in one checking account or one savings account. We just want to make sure that we can keep each of those fund totals separate. So that takes care of one side. But the other side is that we want to make sure that all the utility payments are applied to the customer ledger correctly. So here is where we're showing garbage, water, sewer. If you have more or less, you can customize an Excel spreadsheet to fit your needs. Again, we have a beginning balance. We have a total for the amount that was billed out. So you'd run a report off of your computer to see how much was billed out, or maybe if you do it by hand or have a separate accounting system, you need to get that total before the bills go out the door. Then we have the total deposits for the month, the way that you see them on your books. So you say that there's been $3,075 that was deposited. Well, you can see that we only billed out $3,000, so apparently $75 of this beginning balance was taken care of. So our ending balance that's still outstanding for garbage is $400. And I did the same thing here for each of the different utilities. Then, either on the computer or maybe you have customer cards or customer ledgers, we want to make sure that the amount that was deposited is the same amount that was posted. This is one wonderful way to make sure you're posting to the customer ledgers correctly, or that you've gotten all of the deposits into the correct fund. So again, we're going to look by total for each of the different utilities. In this situation, of course, we did it perfectly, but on the other hand, if it doesn't, the formulas will help you Find where your error might be. Maybe you put it in sewer and it should have gone in water. Now is the time to find this, not in 90 days at the end of the quarter and not at the end of the year when you're trying to do your annual financial report. Do it on a monthly basis because it's a lot easier to remember what happened 30 days ago compared to what happened a year ago. So we're again recommending that all of this be done on a monthly basis. The other thing is the difference between the water pumped and the water billed. In some communities, this may be something that the street guy or the water superintendent or somebody would be able to tell you how many gallons were pumped that particular month. Then how many gallons were billed based upon the meter readings. For some of you who have electronic meter readings, or if you have someone walk around and read the meters, this is still very attainable information. Then you want to see what the variance is between the amount that was pumped and the water that was billed. Do you have an allowance? Is it a 5% allowance? In this case, that's what I picked. I've heard 5, I've heard 10. When you start getting up into the 20 or 25, I begin to think that there's going to be a problem there and we should be tightening down the water system a little bit. But here's what's allowed. Now, is that variance that you have between the pumped and the billed 5%? No, it's 64,000 different. So is it time to look for a leak? Or can you explain it? If you can explain it, just put a little note here. You know, the guys flush the hydrants or whatever the situation may be. But that way you're being accountable for the amount of water pumped. If you have an electric utility or natural gas utility, you can see how this would apply for each of those utilities as well. One more piece in reconciliation before I go is that we want to make sure that your computer matches the totals on your checking and investments, because we're finding out with the examinations that this is an area that is not being done. So we want to make sure that you can take by fund this time each of your ending balances according to your computer or general ledger, the total number of deposits, and oh, by the way, the number of deposits here equals the number of deposits here plus your investments that you added. The total checks by fund, again, this should match the amount of checks that were written on each of the accounts. And what's your ending balance going to be? Now, because we did not do the check reconciliation by fund, you'll only be able to add the amount of checks outstanding. Sometimes a treasurer or maybe yourself do not have the breakdown of what outstanding checks are by fund, but you do know that they're outstanding. So if you looked up each individual check, you could also be able to do this by fund. The important thing is this is going to be the outstanding balance. So again, it's the treasurer's balance plus the outstanding checks. That should be the end of month total. And that should match all of the checks and investments. And again, as you see, we live in a perfect world here, and it comes out right off the bat. It is something that should be done on a monthly basis. I did not do it here. Some cities do, but they list out all of their outstanding checks so they can see that the sum of their outstanding checks equals this total, and that's how they could get that breakdown. In essence, we want to make sure that the computer and the general ledger ending balances do match the amount that's in the bank. It is critical that this be done, especially at the end of each month, so that at the end of the year, it's not going to be a lot of work for you. You've got it all taken care of throughout the year. In addition to this, we do have reconciliations between your tax increment financing or your Urban Renewal annual report, your annual financial report for the state auditor, and your DOT state financial report. All of those should be reconciled against the fund balances that you find here. If this is a June 30 total, as the example will show, all of those things should all tie out as well. So with that, I'll wish you good luck.